tonight. And our next speaker is myself and Ian Terry. So Ian and I are going to talk to you now that we've had this great opportunity to kind of hear from this wonderful panel of researchers, and I hope you all agree. And in fact, if you all want to unmute, there are still a bunch left here, and you can all clap and hoot at the same time. That would be really terrific.
Clap.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can see that there are a lot of people working for you, working hard to figure out what in fact we can do. And so what Ian and I are going to shift us to is not so much results of research, although you can see by having PXE International's name on all the slides, that most of the slides that you just saw, that we in fact are, we are all involved with lots of these groups. A lot of the funding for these groups came from PXE International. I'm not going to spend any time begging for donations in a year like this. We have had some generous donors right before this year, and you guys stepped up and matched a $500,000 challenge from an anonymous donor. Another person stepped up and gave another $125,000, and you guys matched that as well. So we're okay to continue to fund the Jefferson PXE Center, which we are very excited to do, and to help support Kuhn and Lily and Yoni. We also want to acknowledge that James O'Loughlin, who's not here, a PXEer, paid a very large grant, $100,000 grant to Dr. Schonecker and to Stephanie for that work to be done, that we would not have been able to get that done without his generous contribution. And that all the other $25, $10 checks that come in, including even supporting this meeting, are spent on the research that you've seen. So for example, the discovery of pyrophosphate was made possible because PXE International funded the lab in the Netherlands where Kuhn was when he and Pete Borst made that discovery. The discoveries that Andras Varady have done with regard to PPI being something that can actually be ingested are also were funded entirely by PXE International and also by grants and other support from Yoni. So very interconnected world we have. And so we're really excited to continue to do that. So Ian and I want to show how every single one of you are also researchers. And without you as researchers, we will not be able to do this work. There's a thing called citizen science, and you guys are all citizen scientists. And we want to show you how the work you're doing is important. Hubert said to you quite clearly, and I think you heard it from everybody else to some degree, from John, from Yoni, from Vilko, from Wayne, that if we don't have information from actual lived experience, the clinical experience, the lifestyle experience, et cetera, of people with PXE, there's no way we're going to get this work done. It's why the clinical trial failures that Hubert showed you are a result a lot of times, not only because the science is super hard, but because people do not participate in clinical trials and clinical studies. Something like 4% of individuals with cancer participate in cancer clinical studies. Something like 96% of drugs fail from phase 1 to the final point. And so we want to increase our shots on goal, as well as skating to where the puck will be, as well as all the other wonderful sayings that people have come up with to try to do this kind of stuff faster. And so Ian is going to show you now his perspective on this and what he's been working on. Most of you will not need an introduction to Ian Terry, who I will disclose is my son, who I am extremely proud of. I'm going to cry. Who, as you know, was diagnosed at age 5 and visited Yoni when he was 6 years old, and met many of the other researchers in Europe and beyond, giving him wine when he was 10 in Europe, and cappuccinos when he was 6. Anyway, he is now working with Luna DNA, which is a company that we have a very big collaboration with to actually make all this easier on you than it has been in years past. So Ian.
Hello, everybody. So as Sharon and everybody else here has aptly shown. A thread you can read through everything that everyone just said is data, data. We don't know yet. Data, data. We need more data. Pretty much infinitely. So as some of you have seen, and everyone here should have an email from us in the last few days, launching a data collection study on a platform called Luna DNA, which is also a company that I now work for. And we are very much trying to get into the realm of looking at PXE from a completely experiential standpoint, right? As Sharon just said, shots on goal, all these things require a deep understanding, and as Hubert mentioned, natural history studies and other things like that. And a lot of the times, the more, especially for a disease like PXE, where we don't have 30,000 participants in a clinical trial, it is extremely important for us to be able to have complete pictures of the data for each individual, right? We can't just en masse get a huge number of people and have a partial picture for all those people and create a statistical aggregate that'll tell us more information. We need to get as much information from each individual PXEer as possible. And in every way, in every form, about their lived experiences, about their blood levels, about their ophthalmological visits, about everything that we can put together so we can have a complete and pure picture of what it means to have PXE. So that is really what our intention is with the email and the study that you guys got the other day. It's kind of a starting point, aiming towards this place to build that complete picture. So while we sent out that email the other day, and the study that it is up there right now is very small, it is the starting point that we hope to branch out to get everything that we could possibly look for PXEers, so that all of that information is then simply already gathered, and all of these wonderful researchers that are working hard for us can just access that information rather than having to actively go out and look for it every time they have a new question. So one thing I'd like to do today is I'm going to walk through signing up for that process, just so everyone can see it, even if you've done it or not. Because the other wonderful thing that PXE has and that we absolutely need is, we are a small organization. So the more each and every one of you knows about how to do this stuff, you can help each other on Facebook, you can help each other over email, getting everyone into this platform so that all the PXEers can add their information, and then we can go forward with that. So first, I'm going to share that little walkthrough. Let me get it up.
While Ian teased that up, what he said is right, that every single one of you got an email from us. Some of you got 2. You will get a reminder as well, but if you can find that invitation and take it, that would be great. He's going to show you how simple this process is and how fast. And you should be able to see in your email an invitation from us, where some other studies only apply to a few people. This applies to absolutely everybody.
Yep. All right. So once you followed that link in your email, you all would land on a page like this. Everyone who got that email should be making an account for themselves. If you have a child who is below the age of 18, who also has PXE, or even doesn't actually, because we'll get into some things here in a minute, that this is not just for PXEers, or an adult who you have award for, also could be signed up. But everyone should sign themselves up first. So we'd all go, myself, joining Luna DNA. This is not what you'd see. I'm using a test account. So this is another group that we work with. But this would say PXE. And then you simply fill in your email address and a password, and then select what country you're from and your birth date.
And I want to point out there that this is a drop-down list, which with low vision is hard to see sometimes, and or a screen reader sometimes can't do them. So we're offering a concierge service. So don't get frustrated. Call us up, email us, and Tamara and Matthew will do what Ian is doing right here. We're calling it a white glove service. It might be the only time you'll get a white glove service in your life, but we're going to help you get on the platform.
Mhm. And the other thing to be said is if, you know, if you need to, all of these, yes, they're drop downs. But if you click on them and while the list is up, you can type and they still function. Like I could change these to December 20th, right? So yes, while they are drop downs and that can be a little difficult for people with low vision, if you're able to, you can still simply type and they will go to the correct locations.
When I was trying to get the drop down box, we normally use Safari.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And who makes Safari?
Sorry, I'll mute the person speaking. Thank
Okay, and then after you put in your information, you're asked to verify that your email address is real. So you just have to go to your email account. You probably can't see me doing this part.
I just want to say too, that some people are annoyed that they have to go to their email account, but because of the laws, particularly in Europe now, although we're seeing the same thing happen in the US state by state, the privacy laws around this health information is like banking. So you have to do this for your bank. You have to do this in any good site that's taking your health information this way.
Yep.
Sorry, could I
And
just
then-
say something in? Sorry to interrupt. I'm in the UK and I have an iPad and it goes on to Safari. Just for your information, that the drop down boxes wouldn't work with Safari. I had to change to go to Google Chrome. With Safari, I was always in Uganda or the Ukraine, or it was quite random, but it was never the UK. And the same with the date of birth. It didn't.
Okay.
The drop down boxes didn't work.
Okay. No, that's very good information.
There will be a lot of information like this that you're all going to help us with. So just send us an email, and right away, Ian and his engineering team take care of whatever the problem is. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so this next step here, after you verify your email address, again, another security measure here, just to make sure that, you know, as all this information that is going to be put in here is health records and genomic data and everything else. These multiple security steps are to ensure that you are really you who are coming on here, and that, you know, once you've set this stuff up, it's pretty easy to log back in. You'll be able to select remember my browser and all that stuff. And only if things like IP address changes or something like that, you'll be asked to put another code in from your email address. Now, something that's important to state here is that this needs to be a cell phone number so you can receive a text message. If you don't have a cell phone number, or if someone who you're helping to do this later doesn't have a cell phone number, Google Voice also works for this. So if we just go to Google Voice, you can select an account and select a number that you want, and choose whatever you want. So here is mine. Oops, there we go. And here's my number over here. So you just take this number and put it in to Luna DNA. Now, wait, I gotta make sure. Oops.
Well, he's
Apparently,
getting,
sometimes it has issues with copy and paste from Google Voice. So if that happens to you, you simply have to type the number in.
I'll also say while Ian's doing this part that while it is super convenient that we all love to use our iPhones or Samsung phones or our iPads and our tablets, that this site will work much better on a computer or laptop, desktop, laptop, and that when we get into the longer surveys, when we're really wanting to know detailed things from you about your lived experience, you're probably going to be more comfortable. And then I'll also just answer while we're at it that, again, I'm going to say this again, this is GDPR compliant, which everybody in the UK and EU know very much about because it's required in Europe now that sites be GDPR compliant, which basically means that you can extract your information from here at any time. You can stop sharing it at any time. We notify you any changes we make. And throughout all of Europe, this site is GDPR compliant. It's also California privacy protection compliant and several other states. Go ahead, Ian.
Yep. All right, so after that's sent, you'll get a text message that has a code. You just have to go and get that code and stick it in here. This is just, of course, verifying that you have that physical phone or phone number and have access to it. So it's a way of verifying your identity. And then we have a very simple consent. We've got some bullets here that go over it, but of course you can read the entire consent if you would like to. As you can see, it is not a 35-page consent. It is long, of course, because all consents are long, but we tried to make it as simple as possible. And that, so here is something that is important to us, is that what we're going to be consenting for here is understanding all active participants on the platform. And that's important to us because not just PXEers information, of course, is needed to make a discovery in PXE. We need controls, we need normals, we need all of these things that are needed to kind of place as a backdrop against the PXEers information and against any disease's information in order to really understand what that information is telling us about that specific condition. So this I wanted to call this out specifically because your significant others that don't have PXE, your siblings that aren't fully affected, your friends, your neighbors, anyone who you think would be willing and want to help out can come and join LunaDNA and give their information here, and that helps every single one of us, right? The more information that we have to pull out against the backdrop of PXE here, the more useful all of the information that each one of us adds in here will be. So this is not just if you have PXE, please come and do this. This is I've been calling a grassroots discovery effort. Sharon called it a citizen science discovery effort, right? This is a place where we can all make a massive difference, whether or not we know we have a disease. So just really wanted to call that out. But if you know anyone who would be willing to help out and jump on here and give their data too, please don't hesitate to tell them to do so because it will help all of us.
And as I mentioned yesterday, you might not be able to get $25 from everybody this holiday season. You can ask them, this is worth way more than $25 to us if they would please do this. And the other thing to point out is this site covers 10,000 diseases and their subtypes. There's not a disease known. And as soon as they are known, because new ones are discovered every day, it's on this platform. So if they have a different disease or a different interest, and you might have 2 diseases, all of that can be cataloged here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I clicked on contribute data there on the front screen. And here we can see all the different data types so far that this platform will let us collect. And we ask that you guys share, and you ask anyone you're working with to share as many of these as you're comfortable with sharing or that you have, right? So I have a DNA file from 23andMe. So on my own personal account, I uploaded that. I have an electronic health record and I uploaded that. And then there are surveys and studies that will be coming and going just as time goes on. So what we're going to take a look at today is right. Okay. I am in the wrong group because of that thing. I am going to log into my real account.
While you're doing that, Georgina is asking, can she forward a very old invitation from an old email account to herself and use that? No, do not use anything old. Only use what you received in the last week. It's probably a week to 10 days now that we emailed every single one of you. You guys for sure all got it because we have all of your email addresses fresh from the registrations that you did to join this meeting. Also, do not say to your friend with PXE, here's my link. These links are specific to you. That account is very, very important. And we might have used an old email address, yes, because you didn't update your email address with us. That's fine. In the future, it'll be updated through this platform and we'll know it right away and you won't have to tell us. But right now, what we're asking is for you to use the new one or email us and we'll send it to you again.
Yeah, and you are more than capable once you have signed in as well. Don't worry that you'll be locked into your old email address. You can come in here, go to your security settings, and change over that email address to a new one whenever you want to, and your phone and everything else as well. So don't feel concerned about getting locked into any of them.
Right. And if you have any problems, please just email us. We will walk you through it on a phone call. Ian is switching accounts. So Ian is actually working for Luna DNA, a partner of mine for a very long time, and they're fortunate to have him soon. He is actually managing about 15, well, probably about 40 disease communities right now. And so he's just switched from the mitochondrial disease community to the PXE community. The question about, can you sign up from the PXE International website? Please don't yet. We're asking you to use the link in your email because you got a personalized link that is special for you, and it will mess up our data. You know, we have a lot of data on you all already, and we want to connect the data. So we want to make sure that you are connecting to the right portal in the right way. Otherwise, we won't be able to connect all the data we've collected on you so far. And I know that in every other country besides the US, the EHRs, and actually most of you do have electronic health records. Sometimes you don't have access to them the way we do in the US finally. This is all super good to use with or without your EHR. So I think you're going to see Ian has not connected his EHR yet. I've connected mine, but he's just in the process of getting his connected. We don't need your electronic health records. We're talking about surveys that are going to be really critical to gathering that data that all these scientists said, I wish we had data on, fill in the blank. You're going to be giving that data to us. And as far as paper records, we have collected them over the years. Please don't send us any right now because we're developing new systems whereby we can actually take your paper record through email and resolve it to become an electronic record that we're going to integrate into this site. But we don't want you to give it to us right now because that will also mess things up. And again, the EHR is not the most important thing here right now. What Ian's going to show you is how, in fact, your opinion, your lived experience, your living with PXE is the most important thing right now. Since there's no one doctor, no one clinic, except in rare places like Belgium and the Netherlands, where you can go to one center. Most of the time, most of us are not connected to a center. And then even then, the centers are not considering some of the things that we consider very important for PXE because they're just not the top scientific question, but they might be your top question because of who you are and how you live and what you need. And a classic example of that I have is there was a study done on boys with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and the drug was considered failed. It failed, it didn't work. And when the boys were consulted, they said, while the drug did not allow us to walk, the drug did allow us to type. So the boys in the control group could no longer type. The boys in the drug group, the actual group could type. And the boys said, for us, typing is the most important thing we do because we connect with our friends, we can do our homework. And so what we're trying to say here is we're not always looking at the most important thing to the people who live with disease, even in these great scientific and research trials. And so we want to start to pay attention to and make sure we're paying attention to what it is you need.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So here as soon as I get this back up, forgot the first guy I put up there was a wrong test account. Okay, so here we are again. What is I think so the dev team might have changed something in the beta section that I can no longer access the general studies.
So Ian, just go back to the COVID screen and show that that's where your PXE study will show up. Ian already took his, disappeared.
Yeah.
But yours will show up here.
Yes, yours will show up right here under PXE International. It's got a very nice way of looking between the different surveys you can take. I can walk us through
so you can see, in addition to the PXE survey, you're welcome to take the COVID survey. You don't have to have COVID to do it. In fact, we're looking for people pre-COVID, post-COVID, et cetera. that you also might say, I have psoriasis or I have cancer, and there'll be a library of studies. But when you first log in, you're going to see PXE International and the first PXE study. While Ian's getting that up there, the other thing I'll say is one of the things that we are really happy to partner with Luna for, because there were quite a few companies we could partner with, is that Luna DNA is a company owned by the people who share their data. So this company is owned by the individuals, myself, Ian, anybody else who actually enters into data arrangement like this. The company itself is owned by the individuals. Ian does not have vision loss. Someone just asked that yet. He's 31. So that part hasn't started for him. So the point here for me is that, in fact, what we are really excited about is the data in this platform never leaves the platform. All the analysis is done in something called a sandbox, a virtual compute environment. And so where lots of other systems where if you're trying to be, for example, GDPR, which is this European privacy law compliant, you have to vouch that you have distributed the data in certain ways. And we're just not distributing it is what we're doing. We are looking at how do we give you control the data forever such that you know where it is, who's seen it, how they've looked at it. And there's an audit trail so that you could look at all of that if you wanted to. For some people, this privacy stuff is not so important. For other people, it's very important. And so we're making an effort here to make sure that this is all well protected.
Okay. Here we go. So we're obviously on the test accounts. We've got a lot of things on here that are not supposed to be here. But here is the PXE effectiveness survey that we're launching right now. And really what we're going for here is we've surfaced several things that are effective for treatment in PXE, or not treatment, just managing your PXE. And we want to know if you've tried them, and if you have tried them, how effective they were for you, right? So a very simple study on the surface level, we can say, you know, have you tried Heart Healthy Diet? Yes. Okay, how effective was that thing for you? All right, I thought it was pretty effective, right? Have you tried exercise? Sure, yep. You know, I don't know. I have no personal, right? Have you tried Amsterdam? I absolutely have. That I feel is extremely effective because that will tell me, have I gone to my ophthalmology visits? I absolutely have. And those have also helped me feel very well, very good. And then we're gonna ask everyone, you know, which topic are you most interested in PXE International researching more about? And we can say the 4 things that we just asked about that we know are effective. But again, here we're talking about looking at stuff from a different perspective than we usually do. So we also have this other option where you can then say, you know, what other thing would you like PXE International to focus research on? And really this is for bringing these things up to our level of just awareness, so that we know that you guys are interested in researching them. You know, we could say, you know, does eating tacos make PXE better? Right? And it'll accept it. And then now this is where we get into the thing that Sharon was talking about with the GDPR compliance and everything like that. So now that I've completed the survey, I've been given a share in Luna DNA, and that is actual share of ownership in Luna DNA. And that share lets you control that information to yourself, right? So here's my shares and here's what they're connected to. And I know that I have a share that gives me control over the answers to my PXE intervention effectiveness survey. And if I ever wanted to get rid of those, right? If I ever wanted to say, like Sharon was saying, you have control over the access of your information into the studies and things like that. All you would have to do is come in here and say, no, I don't want to have a consent anymore. And my data is removed. This is a way of making sure that those compliance occurs and that you guys are always in control of whether or not you want that data to be included, right? And of course, now that I've unconsented, I don't have access to the platform. So for our information to be useful for PXE, we obviously need to maintain that consent, but just wanted to mention to you guys that control is there for your own peace of mind and anything else. And again, this information can come about, you know, anything that's on this platform, right? So as Sharon said, personal history, family history, COVID stuff, physical activity. You know, we have a PXE as a secondary study up there for you guys that looks at physical health, activity and nutrition, because as we heard earlier, that sort of stuff is very, very important. So really what we're going at with the main study that we're looking at right now is once you guys have told us those effectiveness ratios and whether you've tried things, we are going to continually release new studies week after week, just diving deeper into each one of these things. You know, what about ophthalmology visits do you find super effective? What about them do you find not effective? What would you wish was better? All of that sort of stuff is going to be coming here in the future. And really what we're looking for, of course, is some of this might seem obvious or some of it might seem, you know, unimportant, but unless we get an entire picture or look everywhere, we'll never know, you know, that the boys in that one study typed better, right? So we need to know all of this information to get as deep as we can.
And the other aspect here is that things like you heard yesterday, Eric wishes he could collect who has had plastic surgery. And that information will be so much easier. We'll just go into the sandbox and query this and see who had plastic surgery and be able to have a study set up right away. This is Maya Fontaine Terry. She is Ian's daughter and my granddaughter.
I have to go to mommy.
You have to go to mommy. Okay.
Okay. So any questions about this? Obviously, this is experiential. You'll want to get your hands on it. Again, we want to give you the white glove treatment, and Ian, Tamara, and Matthew, and Mary can all walk you through this on the phone. If you have low vision and this isn't working well for you, which we're aware of, we will also walk you through it on the phone and on the sharing.
So this is Miriam, and I have a question for Ian.
Okay.
Okay, so Ian, how many people are we free to sort of contribute to the control group if we start asking our family and friends?
Millions.
Sky's the limit, huh? Okay, all right, I'll do what I can.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I mean, it in addition to getting the PXEers on here, getting everyone else so that we can really do this is going to be paramount. And then, you know, if you begin to collect, you know, individuals in your control group additions that have experiences of PXE themselves, but in a less direct way, right? If they have siblings that have it, or their significant other has it, we're going to also begin to release kind of experience surveys from the perspective of people who are affected by it but don't have it.
That I won't have, because I do not know anybody else with PXE until I met some of you people here this weekend. I do have one sister, same parents. She does not have PXE. So she may be a carrier and she may not be. I mean, we don't know. So, I mean, I assume that you want her information. I think your mom said yesterday they would. Is it going to be difficult for you to find that useful when you don't know which category she's in?
No,
okay.
No, not at all. You know, just gaining the information, and then future down the road, you know, we'll reach out to specifically relatives of individuals with PXE and things like that to get their perspective and their experience. And then if she has a DNA file, you know, the carriership will show up in that file.
Okay, great.
The next question is from Dina, and I'll just answer one question in the chat before we go to Dina. The question was, and so what do we give our relative, they need an email link. No, they can go to lunadna.com. So they don't need a special link because they're not coming in a special way. So they can go to lunadna.com. Dina.
Hi, Ian. I'm just wondering, already I'm confused and they seem like simple questions, but for instance, heart healthy diet, is that a specific diet?
Nope.
Just in general?
Nope.
Okay, if you're
Yes.
healthy.
It's entirely, have you, basically it's more, this is all coming from a much more experiential side. So it's more, have you, when thinking about your diet, thought about heart health in that area, right? Like, have you thought about, I'm going to eat this or not eat this because it might be heart healthy or it might not be.
Right. And then, for instance, like the AMSLA grid question, I've had this thing for a lifetime, sometimes I used it, sometimes I didn't. I would, was there an in-between number? I didn't get to see it. It went back quickly.
So really it would be more along the lines of like, when you were using it, did you find it effective in helping you manage your PXE?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
To specific questions about the software today, I'm sorry, the whole staff is here and nobody can call you right now. So you'll have to wait till Monday and we will definitely take care of any issues you have. Next question, Raywin.
The other thing to note about technology questions in general, down on the right-hand side of every screen on Luna DNA is a little chat bubble, and that will take you to the chat, the technology help, not the PXE help. So if you have a specific question about how the technology is working or how if something's not working to get you signed in, that's also a direction you can go. They won't know anything about PXE specifically, but they'll know how to make sure to get you into the club.
All good for me?
Yes.
Good morning. Am I late again? Because I'm 7 a.m. New Zealand time and you're all go. What's happening?
I think we sent you a schedule, Raywin, and that we were going to have sessions this morning. Yep.
Yes, I had for 7 a.m. So have I just come in the middle of something?
Yeah, so if you look at your schedule started at 3 a.m. and you had said you were going to sleep in, which totally makes sense. And then, yes, we did have the sessions 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Now we're at 7 a.m. on your schedule.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you. Hey, just Re Healthy Heart Diets, there is a program called the CHIP program, and that's not potato chip program, it's CHIP program, Coronary Health Improvement Program. And a superb one for heart health if anyone wants to look that up.
Thank you. Okay,
Thanks.
any other questions on this? And then we're going to turn to our next and last session, networking. Okay. Looks good. All right, thank you. And thanks, Ian, for your work on this and kind of your lifetime work on PXE, starting with exhibiting in a dentist booth in 1995. So,
Could I ask a question real quick?
yes.
Hi, is all of this compatible with VoiceOver? I use VoiceOver all the time on my iPad, so that will help me be able to fill out everything. All right.
Yes.
Perfect.
It's compatible with VoiceOver and compatible with text enlargement softwares and all the rest. We're constantly testing to make sure that it can do that.
Thank you. Oh, that's great.
All right. Anything else? So, okay, I'm just going to address this. We have, Ian, two people who said, one said their account was hanging, and I said, I can't address it now on this webinar, and that it was probably unique to her. And there's a second person whose account is hanging. So we know that there's going to be technology glitches, and what we would love for you guys to do is to email us, and then we'll set up an appointment at your convenience. And one of our 4 staff will be on the phone with you walking through it. Is that okay to everybody who's, and Ian, do you want to say anything more?
Yeah, so actually while I was trying to show you guys into my real account, I am hanging as well. So there's something going on full platform wise. The dev team might be using the weekend to change something or something like that. So just give it a little bit, try again. And if it happens after today, please just let us know and I'll make sure to raise that up with the dev team.
Yeah, that's why I let you guys know, because I've been in there before and it hasn't, I've been able to get in there quite easily, and it was just today. So I thought maybe everybody in this room was on it or something, so.
Yeah, and actually several people have also privately messaged that it went very easily and well for them. So I think that we're gonna have little hiccups like this. The recommendation I have, because I get hangups all the time and lots of software, is to try again in an hour, try again tomorrow, that sort of thing. But certainly just email us and we'll get on the phone with you. Ian can also contact the dev team during normal business hours. They're not working today. It's Sunday, so sorry, we can't resolve that right this minute. Okay, anything else? All right, thanks, Ian.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just before we go, just before we go, before I go, Maya just knocked over the dog gate. You know, this is we are really excited to be going down the path of this kind of grassroots, really, you know, just experiential direction. We've seen it helping out in a ton of different disease research areas, just to provide, you know, new insights, new directions to look at stuff and all the rest. And we are going to be going, you know, for lack of a better word, completely ham in producing studies and surveys and different ways of doing stuff. And the other really important thing to us is that this program, this software, will allow us to do clinical trials and other things like that in a completely remote environment, which will mean that, you know, a whole bunch of you that have not been able to, let's say, fly into DC on you know, a short notice to take part in the quick citizen science PPI trial, we can start doing those things at home around the world, just entirely remote. And we are super excited about that. You know, it has always been a problem to me that it is difficult to get all of us together with such a small community, to get the numbers we need and to do all the things we need to include everybody. And I am really excited to be able to start putting these things together in a way that gets us to this next stage. So yes, while, you know, this technology, obviously, you know, I'm working with them. It is a new technology. We're still working out all the bugs, but thank you guys for kind of putting the word out there and for hanging in there while we get this fully set up and fleshed out, because as soon as it is, the future state is going to be something that we've just all never experienced before. So thank you. And I'm really excited to see where we go.
Thanks, Ian. All right, so before we go off into networking, breakout groups, anything else anybody else needs to know, wants to know? Okay, all right, so our plan here is that we will go into networking groups that I've assigned you to. Because it was difficult for quite a number of people to find the button, and the buttons are all in different places on all your screens and all that sort of stuff. What I've done is I've set the software up to just put you in the breakout room right away. You presenters, you are all being put in one room, not mixed in with the PXEers. You don't have to choose that. You can either leave the meeting or you can stay here. For everybody, I mean, you actually have to choose because you're going to go. When you get there, you might want to say hi to your friends and then come back. But for PXEers, just to make it easy, you'll be whisked in there so that you don't have to worry about actually pressing any buttons. Okay, any questions before you're whisked away by the software? It's the only time you get to beam up like Scotty, so. All right, here we go.